Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel, and as you may know, this video is a little bit late. Space Engineers was updated on the 19th of February, and so was Medieval Engineers. So that's two games being updated on one day. That was a bit flustering to me, and they updated Space Engineers later in the day, so I was like, well, I've already pretty much said I'm done for the day, unfortunately. But here we go. Here is my update video. Day short, but hopefully not $1 short. Day short and dollar short, is that? Whatever. Anyway, what they've done with this update is two main things. They've added more of those rounded blocks, and they've gone ahead and made text screens act as we would expect. So if we press G, right here, we have an LCD panel right next to your assembler and your refinery, bit of a strange spot, as well as a wide LCD panel down here. And then they've also gone ahead and retweaked the text panel to pretty much work exactly like these new screens. So let's go ahead and to demonstrate that. And to do so, I'm going to bring up a little drone, L_M. Please come here. Yeah, come on, my friend. And here comes a little drone. Yes, who's a good little drone? You are. You are. Yes, you're using the new rounded blocks that don't deform. They still have the deforming ones if you like them. And if you want to make mushy bread or any interesting shapes, which I have seen made, you can go ahead and use those, or if you just want to have some harder but rounded edges like this, you can use these new ones. But let's go ahead and we'll save some of that for later. Right now, I'm going to press my one button and turn on the screen, and it just wants to be loved. Look at it. It's begging, love me, love me. I'm a big stupid robot, love me. Yes, no real AI inside there. By the way, I have found that while holding Alt, you can still control your character. So I'm moving around right now, but it's also moving the drone around. Very strange. And I can move my camera, but if I stop holding Alt, then it's just the drone again. Very interesting, and I kind of like that. I just wish while holding Alt, your drone didn't also move, as it can be slightly problematic. Anyway, carrying on with this new update, I'm going to go ahead and press T to stop controlling the drone, and I'm actually going to go ahead and press K on this screen. And so right here in the middle, you instantly see all the new stuff. We have our actual name of it that shows up on the left here, as per usual. We have this thing called public title and private title, which I've called This is Private, which you can change the names of course, all of this. And if we continue down, you see we have read-write options, text on screen, and a bunch of other stuff. It seems a bit overwhelming. Let's just go through it from the top down. So, public text is right what you see right there. That's all the love me's that I've typed in there for the lovey-dovey drone. If you press T on it, it shows private text. So public text is right there. If you press T on it, it shows private text. Now you can actually have this switched around. So if we scroll down, so we got our public text, we have our edit button to edit that. We have our private text, we have our edit button to edit that. We can go down to right here, access type, so it shows who can read and write on it. And then below that we have show text on screen. So we can actually have this set to show private text. So now if we exit out of that, that private text is shown there. The thing is, if we press T on that, it still shows the private text. So there's no way to be showing private text, press T and suddenly be shown the public text. It seems a bit strange, but I'm all right with the option being there, just in case you want to really quickly switch between them if you had two sets of text that you want to switch between. It's just a bit strange. Also, I do find it strange that when I press T and access this, you say this is private. That's what I named it, of course. Thing is, if you go ahead and have it set to show public text, as I just said, it will still only be showing this is private, your private text. So I don't exactly know why you can change the title here, the public text. Why do I exist? I must ask, Father, why? So there's that. I don't exactly know why it exists. You'll only see that when you go ahead and click edit. I guess it could be useful to remember that, hey, I'm currently editing the public text, but of course if you've done something silly, why do I exist? I must ask, Father, why? You might sort of, well, you might have other issues, but you might forget where you're working, and then you look at the top, oh right, yeah, I don't really remember where I was looking. Not to mention other people are going to come by and look at it and go, okay, pat you on the back and walk away. Anyway, moving on. So we know now, just to go over again, you go up to these screens, you can have it showing public text or private text right down here at this thing, or you can have it showing none. So, and then when you press T on this, no matter what, it shows the private text. Of course, we can have this set to other things, but we'll get to that in a minute. So let's go ahead and switch this back actually to show private text. There we go. So now it's showing the private text again. And what we can do now is carry on, if we don't keep pressing the wrong buttons, scroll down to show everyone read write. So obviously, just like ownership of other things, like with this share with all thing here, it's similar to that where you can have only you can see what's on there and right on there. Nobody else will be able to see it or anything. You can have faction. Actually, I think other people will be able to see it. Let's go ahead and test that, shall we? So we're going to make another drone, paste it right there, and we're going to go ahead and set ownership of this whole drone to a new AI we've just created, NPC 209. I call it an AI. They don't actually have any brains. So we can still see this text. In fact, we can still press T, and we can still edit it, even though that should have been set, since we directly copied this one, to only owner. So that's possible that that was reset, but either way, hard to test that right now. Anyway, moving on from that, so we do have the basics of all that. I don't think I really need to go over this anymore. Faction, read, write, then everyone can read it, and then everyone can read, write it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Moving on from there, though, let's go ahead and set that back to everyone can read and write it. Actually, no, just everyone can read only. That way other people won't be coming up and suddenly changing what I've written. Next thing is, of course, what we've been talking about, the show on screen, so we can show the public text or the private text. Down here we have font size, so we can crank this up to a horribly high range there, and the text does not wrap. So if you were to be typing in here, we've set the text to be huge, so it's only showing this little bit. You would almost expect it to be wrapping the text, so this would automatically be being put down onto next lines. It doesn't do that, which I'm actually all right with, because it does mean you have the control over it to set it up. Even though this might here, I would almost expect it to wrap if you went out onto the next line. As now I'm typing out in the abyss there on the right side of the screen, you can't even see it. There's the H, there we go, you can see my cursor showing back up there, I can type in there, and of course, it's just pressing that out into the void, and if I was to go ahead and click here and drag out, I've copied a bunch of stuff I can't even see, we go down and paste it, and you can see I have so many ADSFs that have been typed out there in the abyss. It's insane, isn't it? You can also go ahead and, let's drop that down a little bit, change the color of the font, so if you want to have some fantastic pink font, you could go ahead and, clearly I don't even know how to make pink font. There, I somehow made it. There you go, you can have some horrifically pink font if you would like. Again, by the way, I'm pressing K if you didn't know. Just K to get straight into the control panel here, just like any other simple system. Let's go ahead and leave that as something slightly more standard. Red, that'll be impossible to read. That's not so bad with the black, but when we do our next step here, which is going down here to the background color, well, now it's going to be all sorts of hell. Look at my God, my eyes are bleeding. So yeah, you can go ahead and tweak these colors to your heart's content. And of course, oh, actually, unfortunately, you can't seem to do the control left click thing here to enter a number manually, which is very unfortunate. And hopefully they'll change that in the future. Because I really do like being able to do control click and type in a number, or even control V in a number I have copied, so I can easily change a bunch of numbers between different objects. On the left here, I like to have multiple ones. Yeah, hey. Going off on a tangent. Anyway, moving on from there, we're actually going to have to scroll back up to where we had chosen what to show. So we have the none, the public, and private. So I've shown you the public and private. Well, what's the none text? That actually means it shows no text. If you do that, and you scroll down here, we have this loaded textures area here. Well, you can go ahead and say, well, what do we want to show? Well, if we exit this right now, it just shows offline because the screen is offline. We go back in there, we can click on one of these. So let's make it say online. So we've selected online there. We're going to do add to selected, and now it's just going to say online. Yes, online. So what we can do is also go ahead and just remove that. If we say, no, we just want it to go back to its usual offline, we're going to select that online text, and we're going to click remove selected right down here at the bottom. And then it goes back to, well, actually it shows online because it has power. A better example would have been not using online, but using something like, I don't know, a cross. So we'll add that there, and now you can see it's showing the cross. Now if we go ahead and remove that, of course, it'll remove the cross, just showing that as proof of, okay, I thought I clicked it. I did click it. Okay, so we found a bug. That happens sometimes, unfortunately. That is really confusing. Yeah, it's definitely not there anymore. Yeah. That's very odd. I don't know why that's showing that. Must have lagged out, but what we can do is turn it off, so it goes to offline, and then turn it back on, so it goes back to saying, hey, I'm online, I have power, but there's nothing set to show up here right now. Now what we can do is go ahead and add multiple things. So, a no entry, a construction, a white screen, yeah, those three. Let's go from the top down until we reach that point we were just at. So we can add all these, and we'll see all of these really quickly changing between it all. Actually, it's not, because we're at 0 intervals, because that's what the slider right here does. It changes how quickly this thing changes from different screen, and you can do the control left click here, so we're going to do a ridiculous 0.001 second delay, so it should mean, nope, it's too close to 0. I was hoping it would be flickering through them at like lightning speed. So we'll do 1, and every 1 second now, it'll be changing between all the different images that have been loaded in there. I don't currently know how to mod this, but I suspect people will be able to mod this, so you can have your own adverts or whatever, or do things you really shouldn't be putting up on the internet. Yeah. Let's move on, shall we? So that's that. I did actually make another drone over there, the center drone. I was originally just going to use that drone to show off what I've just shown you, but I figured it was easier to go ahead and just show you by setting it up right away. Oh, dearie, dearie, I nearly overshot myself. So this drone here was just supposed to be simply flashing those two things and saying, hey, look out! But as I just said, it was easier to just explain it all right there in one sitting. So let's go ahead and fly this drone away. It's not really needed. It's just random nonsense at this point. In fact, yeah, let's just do this. Let's do this. There we go. So bye-bye drone. Enjoy your stay in the abyss of space. Next drone up is basically just to show off some of this you can do. And we're going to go ahead and bring it over here right now. So here come my little friend. Oh dear. There we go. So it's buzzing up here. And you'll see on my hotbar, unlike the very first drone or even that second drone we just used, this little guy here has a timer block set up there. So you can probably guess from all the little screens and nonsense on this guy what is about to happen. But let's go ahead and press the button, shall we? Press the one button. I set off the timer. That timer is set to go ahead and advertise these lovely little Pogo drones. Yes, you know you want a Pogo drone. They're terribly worthless and random and completely not survival ready at all. Yeah, that's a Pogo drone for you. Haha, I'm a Pogo drone. I'm a Pogo drone with my big thruster eyes and my arms. Woo, look at me, I'm a Pogo drone. But what I am also showing off on this ridiculous little Pogo drone, forgive my insane excitement today, is the fact that I'm losing control of it because all the controls appear to be reversed because I'm controlling this from my perspective and not thinking clearly right now. Oh dear, I'm so confused. I'm a Pogo drone and I need to be looking the right way. There we go. So you can see the way I have this little guy set up is pretty simple. In the front here we have the screen we were just looking at. If I was actually to go to my hotbars, you can see it was this screen, the LCD panel. On the sides we have the wide LCD panel. That's what these are right here. They work exactly the same way. As in, I press K, you can see they're exactly the same setup here. Then I have these little tiny screens that are going around here, and I have them set up in such a way that they have 3 different images and they're cycling through them. So you can see this one here has danger, cross, no entry. The next one over will have no entry, danger, cross. That way they switch and almost makes it look like this yellow one is slowly progressing all the way through the whole loop around it. I kind of like that pattern. Sort of, you know, nice advert thing. And this one is actually, because I didn't even explain that, did I, silly pants? Is just the normal old text panel they gave us originally, which I'm kind of glad they didn't remove it. I thought maybe they were going to remove it or just have it be replaced. It's nice to have 3 size options for all of this stuff. It's pretty damn cool. The timer block, the reason I use that to trigger these instead of just turning them all on, is that way, well, for one, I found a little glitch where if you have, let's say, these here with icons in the same group as these here with text, they seem like they change some of the functions of one another if you just tell them to turn on as a full group, whereas these would be suddenly set to be told to show text, which would of course be a bit of a problem because they have no public text, so they are all just going black. And I can go ahead and demonstrate that. We'll use a copy, that way our original one doesn't get wasted here. And we'll select both of these, we'll say Uber Group, and there we go. And we're gonna go ahead and shut these off and turn them back on. And yeah. You can see here, it's, for some reason, there we go, that one took a minute to wake up. Oh dear, now they're being a bit finicky here. Yeah, so you can see, you end up with some issues sometimes when you have different types grouped together when it comes to ones that are just showing icons and ones that are showing text. Also, you can sometimes find that an issue will occur if you get too close to a screen, it'll definitely shut off. Well, it's not doing it right now, but I was noticing it earlier. Let's see if it'll happen with this one. No, I was noticing it earlier, so some of that stuff. So be careful with that when you're grouping these. Try to make sure you group ones that are showing just icons together and ones that are showing actual text together. Or it might have been, who knows, maybe it was the fact that I was using a text screen with a display. So just be cautious in that. Also, of course, I had to have the timer in there is my trigger instead of just an on-off, because I had to set these rotors to go ahead and reverse. And of course, I can go ahead and take control of this guy again if I like, and go ahead and hit that timer one more time. It'll turn everything back off and turn everything back on, off, off, yeah, all that, you get the drift. Pretty nice little thing. Anyway, let's go ahead and take ourselves over. We have one more thing to look at. In fact, it's actually pretty cool because we can do, which one of these did I hide it? Hello, are you a friend? No. You, a friend. No, looky at you. Did I hide it in here? I did. That's where I heard burbles. So you can see there we have a GPS coordinates in here. Of course, the way you get that is to go to the GPS tab, you do a new from current position, and then you click the copy to clipboard button there on the right, and then you can just go ahead and paste that in there. So now we have burbles here. How did that show up there? Well, just simple, just like it was in the past with the normal text screens. If you see it here, it then shows up in, oh dear God, in your GPS tab as a grayed out little thing, and you can do show on HUD and it becomes a blue thing, and now we have a little spot over there. So, dear drone, would you kindly transport us over there in a moving, pushy sort of way? Thank you, much appreciated. Yes, drone, are you pushing me? Okay, good, you're pushing me, good. We need to go down a little bit, drone buddy, and to the right a little bit. There we go, yes. Yes, push us over there. No. To the left, we missed a tiny bit. Oh dear. And did you see that? That sort of poppingness that had happened there. Let's get away from our drone. So this is built with the newest blocks they've added in. The previous update, they added in those rounded blocks that sort of merged together. And I mentioned also even wanting a block like this. I hope I didn't offend the devs by being so grumpy. But anyway, the point is they have taken some advice. They've also tweaked a lot of things, and they've actually done a fantastic bloody job on these now, for the most part. As you can see, they've gone ahead and added a centerpiece, so you can sort of have a merging bit in between them. Bit strange. I suspect if they do get blocks inside of blocks in the future, we might end up not even having that block anymore. We might end up with something like you can paste this, well, let's say like here, rotate it, hold the inside block paste button, paste it again, and then rotate it again as such, and do the block inside block, and you'll get the same thing as that, which would also allow you to make a different type of corner, which would be something like this. Because currently, if you do use their current one, you get a bit of a bulge. There you go. You get this sort of sharp edge there running along the top, where you might just want it to be those two sort of intersecting into a sharp edge, or even ideally maybe a corner piece for that with a gentle curve around it. Who knows? But also something else when I was talking about when we first flew up is popping. So you see this big thing in front of us. Its curves shoot all the way down the side. Watch as I get away from it. What is going to happen? Oh, dear God, what's happened? Well, it's an LOD switch is what's happening here. So from a distance, this sort of looks like your bog standard ship, but when you approach, it pops into the higher LOD. You know, it's early days, they might change this, but even if they don't, I think it's a good thing that they do have LODs built into this, and they're starting to build it into all their blocks and stuff, because of course, with all the polys that it takes to make a nice curve, you could end up with a serious performance issue. And I think it is also nice to see that it does happen on the same ship. So in the past, I was always worried that maybe LODs weren't actually switching on one part of the ship because maybe it had the LOD down the whole ship at once. It is good to actually see that they are indeed doing partial sections of the ship. It's like big chunks, but it's good. It's good to see. Anyway, let's go ahead and head inside burbles here. And let's first off go to our GPS thing and turn off this. Let's just say turn off the show on HUD. And now you'll see it's white. It's not gray like it was before because it's actually been added as a permanent sort of thing. Oh, dear God, our nice super light hallway. Huh. Well, let's just have a run down here. In fact, let's have a fly down here. And this will lead us out to a big open expanse of nothingness with some of these these metal plates sort of not connecting. I'm actually suspecting that we'll be seeing the resolution on these big metal plates here shrunk down. I say resolution. What I'm really talking about is the texture will be scaled down. The UVs on the actual blocks will be scaled up. That way they'll match these here because that actually does look really nice to have these tiny metal paneling on the newer blocks. It's pretty cool. At least on the flat size of them here. But I came, oh dear God, I came over here to this big flat section. That way I can show you guys all the changes to the blocks I've done. So we're going to start out here. We're going to clear our bottom thing. Here we go. And actually, we're going to need to grab just the square block because that's the good old standard. And we're going to start out with this rounded block in the rounded corner. So these are the good old go-tos that I believe we were using the other day. Yes, indeed. So they still mush like they did before and create so much strangeness that we were familiar with. Well, now we can go ahead and delete them. We have our mushy one. So let's say we want to somehow make this form into, oh no, a shape of, how was I was thinking about that. So that's a bit strange, but okay, it's got a bit of a curve and then it mushes down. That's all right, I guess. And then what do we want here? Well, maybe we want a reverse something. Well, in the past, of course, if we wanted to, let's say, reverse it like that, well, the whole plot has been lost, hasn't it? So now what we could do is if we want a slightly deformed one here, and slightly deformed one here, so it's all going to flow together, but then right here we want a sharp one that's maybe reversed like that. Well, now you can go ahead down to this set of 6 right here. So this set of 6 right here, 4 actually right here, are the ones that deformed. You got your light armor right there, and your heavy armor right there. So those all deform, and these all do not, and they have those corner pieces too. You'll also notice that, oh dear God, I just place dearie God. I keep saying dearie God, dear God. Why do I keep saying dearie God? But you'll notice that if I go ahead and place one of these in here, it still warps those guys a little bit. In fact, it even warped this one, but it's not as much as it did in the past. And so we could theoretically just do away with those corners, sacrifice some of what we were working on, and just have the shape we wanted, like so. Okay, what did I do? I used the wrong blocks for the whole thing right there. God dang it, Sage, you silly bugger. Why, oh, why did you do that? It's like you swallowed a fly or something. There we go. So we can do that, and it'll still show the shape we wanted, which I like a lot because it means we get the control that I really personally wanted when it comes to building a ship. I'd like to be able to say, hey, where's it going to deform? Where isn't it going to deform? And so here we go. You've seen I've now built this weird, strange doorway thing, and we can go ahead and actually put a door in here. And now you can imagine this actually being part of a big, huge station if we were to get rid of some of this here. Like so. Now this is like a big pillar on the side of a station. We're coming up the dock. I don't see any life signs. Interesting stuff, you know? I like that a lot. I'm actually really kind of keen on these blocks. I would like a concave shape where instead of it bulging out, it bulges in. So I can't actually show that too well, but you get the gist of it. It would be like so, except for if there was a vertex right here in the center, it would be downward, down further towards this corner down here. Anyway, you get the drift of it. You could make it bulge, it would then go in and then bulge back out with that other block there. Kind of cool stuff you could do. I don't know if they'll do that. And of course, they gave the ability to mod blocks more easily, which will actually deform and stuff. So might be up to the community to make that one. Anyway, moving on, let's just go ahead and place these new ones down in a full set. So let's go ahead and make some room. And we're going to go ahead and place those. Place, oh dearie God, we need the order. So we got this one, which I've been building with. We got this one, a nice little corner that does not deform. Pretty nice stuff. We can now make the little tiny thing I wanted to build originally as soon as they first put in rounded blocks. Ta-da! It is the random. Moving on. And then, of course, they have these things that I was showing off earlier over at the front. These, if I just place it on its own, there you go. You can see its shape and the way it deforms and all that stuff. Pretty cool stuff. I'm really happy with this for the most part. It's pretty awesome. And of course, blocks inside blocks in the future, we might be seeing more changes, who knows, and the ability to do some stranger things, depending on which blocks they allow us to put inside blocks, if they even do allow us to do that in Space Engineers, which I suspect they will, but it might be limited. Okay, moving on from those, we have the heavy ones, of course, the same thing, even though the texture here, because it is, the plates are smaller than the normal ones for the larger areas, the normal square pieces of ship. It does look a lot nicer to me, actually, and I love all the little rivets and stuff. Now that they're so small, you're not getting any pixelization, really, unless you stick your nose right up to it. And then, of course, I don't think I really need to spend much more time on this. The heavy armor of this one, which its icon can be slightly confusing. As you see, the icon for these two looks to be pretty much exactly the same. That's also because they look pretty damn similar right now. If I was to remove the lightweight one and replace it with a heavy one, I think there's some difference. The normal map looks like it's a bit more fibbly, but the actual texture map looks like they might be exactly the same at the moment. And then, of course, we have the corner piece of the heavy one, which I'm having trouble rotating around the way I want. Dear heaven to Betsy, there we go, and got that in the right way. So, pretty cool stuff. I like these a lot. They're pretty cool. I'm not sure I'll use them too much, but they do allow for some nice, cool stuff, and the fact that everything's not deforming and flailing all over. is pretty nice. They also still have these other armored slopes here. Let's go ahead and clear out this bottom bar here, shall we? So they still have these normal armored slopes and the other ones here. Not exactly sure why. I guess it's because maybe one of the main ideals is you would go from just this, oh dear God, there we go, slowly transitioning from that all the way up to something like that. So now you can see we have a, well, besides the fact that I used a heavy piece of armor there like a fool, there we go, I'll use the light one, there we go. So now you can see we have a smoother trans, it was working a second ago. My whole world has come crashing down around me. I feel like such a fool. There we go, still didn't do it. Well, it did it a second ago. You could see it sort of made a smooth transition, so maybe that's one of their ideas. In fact, I think the reason that failed was because, no, that's a rounded one, and as opposed to the round one, so it should be deforming. It's not deforming though, strange. Anyway, I think that might be part of their idea between still leaving in these sort of lower poly versions here. So we can go ahead and just show you guys those again in case you missed them last week. There they are, and then there's of course the heavy armor versions, which again for the corner pieces look about the same. Also, I would like to report the devs heard the feedback as well on the rounded ones where they were actually showing that big line down the middle where it looked like the normals were not smoothed on them, and there was a big sharp edge right here. Looks like they've gone ahead and sorted that out, so now they look actually pretty damn good. Okay, I think that sort of looks like a terrible shape that shouldn't be sitting there, doesn't it, world? Oh my goodness gracious, great balls of fire. The whole world is going to collapse and burn, and it's all my fault, isn't it? Anyway, guys, I'm babbling. That didn't make any sense to me either. And I think that's about it. I think that's everything. Anyway, guys, thank you a bunch for watching. I hope this was informative and entertaining. And if you're wondering, that big piece of metal is just sitting there randomly out in space. That was my original way that I was going to show the LODs of these slowly turning into those sharp-edged pieces, but I figured it's much easier to see with that big station. Anyways, that's it. Hope it was enjoyable. Hopefully it was informative, and I shall see you guys next time. Ta-ta, auf Wiedersehen. That's really it. Bye. I'm itching my eye right now. I'm itching my other eye right now. I'm itching my nose. Dinner's ready.